Welcome to Revlog.
We've never started better. I felt a real sense of
I felt
start.
I felt lift.
I did. Lift off.
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome
Hello.
to Revlog. Yeah,
A
we're
jaunty morning to you, sir. Good sir.
we're back from our retreat and ready to go this morning.
Feeling jaunty.
We are feeling jaunty. And let me ask the
I don't
question.
think that word gets enough usage. Anyway.
Speaking
what?
of, who among you is wise and understanding? That's where we begin.
Who indeed?
Who indeed?
This was the shortest revlog ever. Thank you.
That's my question, Chris. Who indeed? Thank you for joining
Today,
us.
as we're in James chapter 3, 13 through 18. Brian, you begin. What did you hear as you read this text?
Well, I heard, tell me you're wise without telling me you're wise.
Ooh.
There-
That's a Facebook post right
Yeah,
there.
it is, isn't
That
it?
is a Facebook post, yeah.
That's exactly where I got it. No. I was thinking about buzzwords this morning when I was looking at that passage ahead of this time, and I was thinking it's really kind of cool to use the latest buzzwords, especially in Christian circles, because people can think that you're really on top of things. You know, if you talk about, I don't know, sometimes the business world and the church world overlap with the kind of things they use, synergy and
The ever-changing jargon.
right, exactly.
And when you use those, it is a way of proving you're an insider.
Yeah.
Right? If you know the current jargon.
And being on the inside
You're
is
on the
a
inside.
greatly highly desirable thing for all of us. We all want to be on the inside. C.S. Lewis talks about that being on the outer ring, as opposed to being on the inner ring. And we are insiders if we use that, and we burnish our credentials, I think, if we use that. A few years ago, I remember the first time, I grew up with the word fellowship all the time. And then somebody introduced the word community back in the 90s to me. And I thought, that sounds really cool. And so I would use that, not because I believed in community so much as because it sounded really cool. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, they're going to think that I have a different angle, on it when I talk about it. They're going to go, oh, community. Oh, that's interesting. And so, I don't know. You scaffold up in wisdom in the eyes of people, but it doesn't mean anything.
So are you helping us here distinguish? Because it seems in verse 15 that we have two kinds of wisdom. Usually we often use the word wisdom as standing on its own, but here it says we have two kinds of wisdom, a heavenly wisdom and an earthly or demonic wisdom.
Exactly, which is always to try to gain power over another person. Either their admiration, you manage your image. Well, that's a way of manipulating and gaining power over people. And that's earthly wisdom.
Yeah.
And it doesn't last. It is hollow, I think.
Yeah. That's right. So Aaron, as you read, where did your heart go?
Well, first of all, I want to say I feel like Bryan spoke with real intentionality, and I feel as though
We need to have like a ding or buzzwords or something that come, it says buzzword.
it's real team building in his comments. Thank you, Bryan.
Very missional.
Yeah, very missional. I'm not going to confess to you that I was sitting here trying to think of buzzwords while he was.
You did it. You did. You were successful.
Okay, all right. Missional. That was good.
It was good.
So I love Isaiah 58 for lots of reasons. Isaiah 58 talks about the first part. It's like, hey God, we've been fasting. Why hasn't this been working for us?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Because we did everything you wanted us to, and then the Lord through Isaiah is saying, you're getting the reward you're setting out for because you're making everybody know what you're doing, and it's all about what you're doing. And Isaiah says it in a pretty blunt way, shut your mouth and get about the business of doing what I've called you to do. You need to feed the hungry. You need to clothe the naked. You need to take care of the orphans. You need to repair the breaches in the wall. You just get about the business that I've called you to do. And I feel like James is really backing up what he talked about a couple weeks ago when we talked about faith without works is dead. It's like that faith that is motivating you, that is getting you the wind in your sails. You need to now get about the business that you've been called to do as a believer. And it's that's how people are going to know you're wise. That's how people are
I
going to know
love that.
Yeah.
Because that's right in line with everything else James says about
Absolutely.
acting and the deeds, because otherwise it's just, blah, 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 synergy, blah, 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 visioneering, blah, blah, blah. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And I think there's something to that where he links this with selfish ambition and the building up of self versus building up the kingdom of God and
That's
caring
right.
about and moving forward God's ways rather than your own ways.
Yeah.
What you hope for. So Bryan, as you read this, what question came to mind?
Well, how can I talk in a way that is honest if I can't talk to impress people, and how can my words be really connected with love?
Yeah.
I think that would be the real wisdom. Quite a few years ago, I was candidating at a church.
Whoa.
Candidating, is that that's not
I don't
a
think that's a
buzzword. That's not a
buzzword.
buzzword.
Wow.
Wait, let me be errant here. In the 1950s, that was a buzzword.
I was thinking 18, but
18.
It's the first Lincoln
It was
Douglas
right in the
debate.
middle of a Million More in 54 campaign, the SBC. And
All right, so you've come to this
I had
church.
just gotten off the phone with the Sunday school board.
Candidating, please go ahead. Candidating.
And anyway, I received, when I got back home to my current church at that time, I received a letter from one of the people who I met during this candidating, and it said, "Dear Bryan, enjoyed meeting you, but I must tell you, I detected a spirit of pride in you when I first saw you, and I thought that I needed to tell you that because that could be very bad for this church if, blah, blah, blah." And it was, I read that letter, and my first response was, "How dare he
Right.
assail me for being prideful?" Which is itself a prideful response.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Do you think he was sensing that legitimately?
I think he was just being mean. But, I mean, as I got to know him later, because I ended up there, but I will say, it did give me pause. And he probably, it was phrased in such a way that it was just maximum, passive aggressive phraseology, but he probably did see something that was legit. And if I'm going to use words, then I've got to, they've got to be connected with actions that love. And I have to say, maybe words like, instead of using a bunch of buzzwords, words like, "I want to hear more about what you see there."
Yeah, and I love what you're saying there because, in our roles, we do at times get critiques and criticisms in, and sometimes they're harsh, sometimes they're mean. And a healthy leader will see through the meanness and evaluate if there's any truth to the matter.
Yeah. Yes,
And
that's
see,
right.
is there a kernel of truth, even maybe they've blown way out of proportion, but is there a kernel of truth to what they were saying? And I don't know if that was going on in your situation, but I've seen that in my own. At
Absolutely.
times.
There was a kernel of truth there, and I didn't want to see that. So but I guess in all of that, my question is, how do I use words not to build my case, but really to respond in love to people?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Aaron, what question came to mind for
Well,
you?
and I think just to kind of build on that, how do I not use words? How am I just, because so much of what I do is in front of people and about this kind of, people see me up in front, and that's it's a persona that I have, but are they also seeing me get about the business of loving my neighbor, of serving my neighbor, and that will speak as loudly or louder than the public persona that they see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Am I living out and my wisdom the way James is asking us to?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. We can have wisdom from the Lord and it not be enacted in who we are and into our life.
Boy, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we would love to hear your thoughts on this passage if you would comment below. Also,
Are you still there?
are you still there? If you want to hang around, you might have noticed we've tried this once before. Where one of the things we love is before and after this time we talk and we always have a good time talking together and so at some points along the way we're going to include these extended conversations. So if you're just here for reverse, then you're done and you're free to go. We're not gonna hold you captive. But if you wanna hang around and hear some more,
Chris, I think everybody just left.
We're talking.
Hello?
well, even if everybody just left, I love talking to you and I love talking to Aaron.
Is this mic on?
We'll continue. And so we do want to give you a little just kind of behind the scenes of things that we talk about and places we go and just share those. And so last week
And before we do, I really I'd like to just sort of share my thoughts on the Sunday school board back in 1956. Could I do that?
No.
Okay.
No, you may not.
All right.
We've got other things to talk about. This is
Quite an
generally
agent.
how the conversations before and after go.
It was quite an agency.
It was quite an agency. We'll bring in experts to sit in this chair one of these days.
What about the Brotherhood Commission?
So he's saying things I've never even heard of.
I don't know what the Brotherhood
Yeah,
Commission
the
is.
fact that we make fun of his age, and now all he's doing is supporting our.
Okay, I was going to go into the home mission board, but I forget it.
Okay.
So last week, we were at a retreat in Ruidoso. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful. Ministers, directors.
Yes,
there was
it was
18 of
wonderful.
us, and so I really did cast lots to divide up the teams. We divided up in 3 teams, threw the names out on the table.
And can you go into a little more detail about?
Did you pull out your Dungeons and Dragons game from your and get the die?
Let me tell you what
Did
I
you go
thought.
full nerd? I guess is what
Put
we're
on your-
asking.
I went full Bible.
Okay.
This is what I did. All right, so I was thinking.
What a response!
Because I'm
Wow.
praying over this retreat and thinking we have to divide it in teams. It's part of it is dividing up into 3 teams. And so I was thinking, I could manipulate these how I want to manipulate them, but I thought, how do I leave this up to the Lord rather than just Chris saying, I think these 2 people should be together and these 2 shouldn't or whatever, and take my fingerprints off of it and just trust the Lord with it. And then we can say, the Lord put these teams together. And so literally what I did, I wrote everybody's name, 18 of us, wrote all 18 names down on a piece of paper, cut them up into equal sizes, and put the names all in my hand, and I just threw them down on my desk. And then, some of them kind of scattered in the middle, and I just kind of went like this and like that. And then there were 3 piles. And so then I just took the 3 piles and unrolled the names and wrote them down. And those were our 3
So that's how you cast lot. You didn't have like a black and white stone.
I didn't have a stone. I didn't have any
Urim and
dice.
Thummim.
So I didn't do it that way. But just in my own way, I said, Lord, I'm going to trust you with this matter. And however the names fall, we'll trust it was the Lord.
So
So I was convinced that you saw Brian's name next to mine and you went to make sure that we weren't in the same group.
The wind of the Spirit.
And to that end, the three of us were each on a different team.
That's right.
We were not on the same team. So there were three teams.
Right,
And we were all
right.
on different teams, which the Lord saw fit to divide us up.
Mercifully.
The Lord broke us up and put us in different teams. And I think it worked okay.
It did.
It really did.
I mean,
It did. I mean, I guess it did. No, it did. It was great. I enjoyed my team.
were they good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we had essentially 6 challenges plus worship. So we had 6 things that we did. One, we had to choose a new office prank. Essentially, we have a little.
That's really what that was.
It
Choosing
is.
a new office.
So
prank.
it's another one of
Yeah.
the behind the scenes things. For a long time, we had an eagle that we would pass around as an office prank, and it disappeared. And so challenge 1 was to find a new
Weird.
office prank. And that was part of it. Challenge 2 was we all had to cook each team had to cook 2 meals. So we had to cook for one another. That was part of the challenges. Then one of the challenges was we had to pray over one another,
Yeah.
which we did together on one of the mornings.
We did for a long time.
Yeah. It was supposed to be an hour. Brian's team went over an hour because they're holier than us. So we
went 2 hours.
So we did, and that was fruitful and good. Yeah, we had some time with the creative Whack Pack on an idea to help us push through COVID. Then we made a video of a scripture and acted scripture out in our teams.
Yeah.
And had to find something that we marveled at, which was challenge number 6. So this broke
Yes.
up into 6 challenges. So, I mean, I don't know. What'd you think? Were they productive? Were they good? Did you have fun?
Until the judging. Then-
See,
then-
I knew that Chris, you really opened this door.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
the fact that Chris was on a team and a judge. I
behold.
So here's the deal.
The
So there
bristling.
There were 6 challenges, and there were arbitrary points given. And I was just the referee, the scorekeeper, and I was on a team. So essentially, what I decided is my team would kind of be the baseline. My team wasn't going to win, and they were giving me a hard time about it on the way home because they didn't realize this till we were on the way home.
It was predetermined.
When we were coming home, they said we were never going to win, were we? I said no, we were never. Our team was never going to win. So you're just out of luck if you're on my team.
Oh man.
So then it was between
is-
Aaron's team and Brian's team on who was going to win. And as it turned out, as I was just arbitrarily handing out points, Brian's team won, and Aaron was not happy about that.
Aaron was quite flummoxed.
I was
And
flummoxed.
you
I
were
was
vexed.
I was
You were vexed.
I was indeed.
So out of the 6 challenges, which challenge do you think brought you closer together to your team? Which one brought the most joy? Which one brought the most togetherness? And then we can also add worship. We worshiped every night together. I think that
Yeah,
was
we
some
did.
togetherness there too. What do you think was the most productive?
Well, we really just dove into all of them and really had a good time with all of them, and a good time, and not in just some flippant sense. I mean, we even the prayer and the vision casting was such an incredible synergy. It's such an
No,
incredible.
it's good to use if it's organic to the situation. Use it.
It really, and one of the things that we marveled on or talked about a couple times is how excited we were about the task, whatever it was, and if we're this excited and the other team's this excited, just to know that as a team, as a staff, we're all moving in the same direction and just enjoying being together. I mean, bar none, the making the video, we just had.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So each one of us made a video of a scripture. My team did Moses hitting the rock and the water coming out. Dave Romfeld was our Moses. We went that direction. What did your team do?
We had we were assigned an Old Testament story or Old Testament scripture post the Torah.
Right, because my team had the Torah.
Right.
So you had Old Testament, not Torah.
Not Torah. And so
Yeah.
we chose, because since we were just in Judges and we went straight up to but didn't get to Samson, we told the story of Samson in our own very unique, amazing way.
Jimmy
that was
Gunn
a great
was,
video.
Gunn was
Samson.
Samson,
What was
that's
his
right.
hair?
His hair was just whatever we could. We had long.
It was like
grass.
weeds,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was weeds or grass that he put on there.
It was-
So,
Yeah.
Brian, what was y'all's video?
Our video was the three parables in Luke 15 of the lost coin, the lost sheep, and the
Now,
prodigal
be
son.
honest here. They used this
Oh, my word.
oddly
You're not gonna-
shaped metal goat
Yes.
that was a decoration in the house. Did y'all do that passage just because the goat was in the house or whatever it was? Because it was like this metal statue of an oddly shaped goat.
Yeah, it was like a horned sheep or something like that.
something like that, yeah.
It was.
Is that
I
why
don't know
y'all
which came first.
Is that why y'all chose the
I don't
passage?
know if we saw that and thought we could. I think we chose the passage first, and then we thought, oh my word, this.
It just so happens
goat or the
we've
sheep.
got a goat in the house
Yes.
that we can use.
And it was hilarious. It was just standing there, unblinking. It was hilarious.
Yeah. What did you think of their video?
It was good. It was good. You know, Bryan was the narrator on the Serengeti for most of it. It was very, refined and elegant, and until it wasn't, and then it was crude and rude. But it was well done.
Yeah.
Dave was a good. I will say
Yeah.
the highlight of yours was the rock
The,
at
the,
Meribah.
the spewing,
Yes.
gushing, spewing water.
So
from the
Byron
rock.
Pitts was the spewing water. And
Yeah.
spewed
Special
it out.
effects were amazing.
They were,
amazing.
They were good.
Yeah.
You ought to think about working on the new Dune picture. I mean, it was just special effects were amazing.
That's right.
What'd you think of Aaron's video?
I loved that video.
Thank you.
I did. I loved the silent
he's setting-
film.
He's throwing softball. You say this all the time. We do. Sometimes it feels like we make fun of Brian too much, and I get it. And I even told when I first came, one of the things I told Brian was, in a lot of ways, it does feel like you're the office punching bag sometimes, and I feel bad about this. And Brian just cackled as he does, and. And Aaron always says, Brian just throws these softballs out there, and he's doing it again. I don't even know if he knows this, because what y'all did the silent era
film era
and
picture.
he's just throwing us up softballs again. I'm not gonna take the bait. All right, just continue.
No, I think that it stands side by side in one of the greatest,
Thank you, Brian.
silent film era productions ever. No, it was really good.
We had a lot of fun.
Those
making-
silent film effects were great. I mean, notwithstanding it was done, on a MacBook. But anyway, it was
Pretty
and
low
not
budget,
on an iPhone. But it was, which lost them points, and I was sad. I was genuinely sad.
Thank you. And I told
that
Chris
lost points.
afterwards. I said, you cheated us, and I will not forgive you. So I
So there were two reasons Aaron's team lost points. One of those, it said for the video, I gave them a specific challenge written out. It had to be filmed on a phone.
which it was,
And then they did some heavy editing with a computer after it was filmed on the phone. And then also y'all lost points too, because we said originally that the office prank bit of this had to be done by Wednesday. And they ordered theirs on Amazon and had it delivered to my office, and it was delivered.
We tried to get it delivered to we did. We tried to get it delivered to the house in Ruidoso, but it
didn't make
They
it.
didn't
They
make it,
used.
so-
I think this team availed itself of external support systems. I mean, they had the MacBook.
They had Amazon.
They had Amazon, the force and the power of Amazon working with them.
and so that's probably
It's
what
Scott
put,
Lane.
put
It's
your
Scott Lane, I'm
team
telling
over
you.
the. That's probably what
It's
put
Scott
your
Lane.
team over the.
And I will
Yeah,
say, throw credit to Ethan. I mean, he letter of the law, man. He gave you a 3-minute video
Exactly 3
That's-
minutes.
that's
edited
exactly right.
completely
and on a
the
phone.
iPhone, so
Yeah,
I give
Y'all's
props to
video
that.
was 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, at least. I mean,
we had
well,
during intermission.
intermission.
Seriously, I had some good conversations.
yeah,
during
popcorn
intermission.
was over the top. It was an incredible week.
I hope so.
It could not have gone better. And I was talking with somebody Saturday night about that, and we thought we were comparing notes, and I had no idea. I was coming into this retreat thinking, what in the world is this going to be? I don't even know how this is going to work. And he was thinking the same thing. And I had no idea. And we both said it was just amazing.
And that's real leadership and vision that you had. And
Thank you.
Your visioneering was superb.
Thank you. I'll take
But
it.
it's just the team building that was appropriate and not over the top. Because, I mean, we've all been a part of meetings and team building that just like, you know.
That is true. And Chris, there was none of that.
None of that.
Here.
None of
was-
Yeah, and
it
I
was
think
great.
I think you're right. I mean, and I think one of the joys of it, the only person checking the clock was myself, and I was trying to keep us on schedule.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like anybody else was watching the clock or trying to move us along, which meant a lot. And I was probably moving us along too quickly, as I often do. So. But grateful for that time, and this, I just want to talk about this and say thank you to the church
That's right.
for letting us
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
and be gone for 4 days. We've never done anything like this before.
I heard people just saying, I didn't know how it would be received, in the whole church, and people have been saying to me, "Hey, how was the trip?" And it's as if, I've heard statements that people were glad that we did it. So.
I think it's commonly known that we love each other, and
I hope so.
commonly known that
Yeah.
we care about one another. And anytime we can do things like this too, and the church to see that, I think it's good.
Yeah, I love being with you.
And I've got to say, just getting to know people better I hadn't even thought about that dimension of it. And I learned some things about people that I had no idea. And it was dear.
Yeah. Well, so we try in these. We try not to throw out names anytime, but let's kind of end here on who you feel like you got to know better on the retreat. And I'll tell you. So I think for me, Pastor Renee was on my team, and I got to know him much better, and in a wonderful way, and got to hear many of his stories about his life and work. And that was a good thing. So I was so glad to get to know him better. Who do you feel like you got to know better?
Wayne Williams.
Yeah.
Got to know him better, and I really, really appreciated that.
Yeah, that was good. What about for you? Yeah.
Kathy Romfeld, she and I,
Because y'all were on the same team.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we love to cook. And part of, like
Oh,
you said,
yeah.
part of what we do is we had to make meals for one another, and so
And those were a part of the challenge. Like you were judged on your meals that you cooked, and I would say both of your teams went way above and beyond.
we ate well.
We did eat well.
We ate well. I mean, it was all around. It was great.
And even that, going shopping for food, that was enjoyable with one another.
And that was part of it, right? That was part of the challenges.
Yeah.
Was you have to go with your team, you have to make the menu, you have to
Yeah.
shop together, you have to cook for us, you have to serve us, and your team even served as like wait staff and waited on the tables.
Yeah, well,
our team set
head
up buffet
chef was-
style, but y'all had waiters.
Well,
Our head chef was Danny Panner, and he went
and
over the top.
Dishwashers, right? I mean, we all need to know our roles, and some of us wash dishes.
Look at these dishpan hands.
all right, so I interrupted you. You were saying, Kathy,
Just
you were,
because I'm very much a recipe follower, and she's a Culinary Art Institute graduate, and
Right.
so, but just learning from her and cooking with her, I mean, that's a wonderful experience to share a kitchen with someone, and so I really enjoyed getting to do that with Kathy.
yeah, it was a beautiful thing. So anyway, we'll hope you'll be blessed by these larger conversations that we have. We think they might be fruitful in the days ahead. So thanks for hanging around with us if you did. So.